ahead and get the meeting called to order. Welcome to the Aquilina House Center. It is Tuesday, September the 25th. We are so glad you're with us. Full house tonight. This is exciting. I believe we have, going to start with our Pledge of Allegiance and turn it over to our student school board member, Miss Ashley Campbell.
Well, good evening, everyone. Today I'd like to welcome Braden Bennett, who is a first grader at Sable Palm Elementary School, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Braden, whenever you're ready.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Good job, Braden. And Ashley, do we have a thought for the day as well?
We do. We have Miss Rondasha Hollis, also from Sable Palm Elementary School, where she is in the 4th grade. She's accompanied tonight by her dad, Ron Hollis, and her mom, Regina Hollis, as well as her brother, RJ. And she's also a cheerleader at Sable Palm, and she's also in the National English Honor Society.
People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Absolutely.
Wow, that is beautiful. Thank you so much, both students from Sable Palm. We're so glad you're with us. And you have family here today that can stand up and be recognized. Braden and Rhonda Shea. Do you have family?
Please stand.
Yes, please stand. Thank you.
That had to be the best Pledge of Allegiance ever in the history of Pledge of Allegiances at a school board meeting.
And I believe, are there any administrators or teachers here from Sable Palm with us tonight? We'd like to recognize you as well. Having these amazing students. Thank you. Thank you so much to all of Sable Palm. We're glad to have you here with us tonight.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I like the Principal Roberts. They've done outstanding things over there about a month ago when they welcomed the students back with the landscaping and all the great things they've done for infrastructure at that school. And I'd like to thank her and the assistant principal for what they do at Sable Palm, and the cheerleaders. And she wore a cheerleader suit. Stand so everybody can see you, baby. Stand up. Oh, yeah. Do you want to do a cheer? Maybe. Okay, thank you, Ms. Robinson, for being a great principal. You and the assistant principal at school.
Thank you. Changes and additions, Ms. Lewis Butler, please.
The superintendent recommends approval of changes in addition to the September 25th, 2018 school board meeting agenda as printed. Number 1, add item 21.01, reports from board liaisons. Children's Services Council Planning Committee meeting updates. School board chair, Alva Strickland. 2, item 18.01, State of Florida historical marker at the Blossom Building, Caroline Bavard School. This item has been revised to most succinctly convey the requested action of the superintendent.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis Butler, do I have a motion to approve?
Move the agenda changes and corrections.
Second. Moved by Bowen, second by Wood. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Superintendent Spotlight.
Madam Chair, if I may, first I would like, that had to be the shortest changes and additions we've had.
I know, right? I told her she had the night off.
Yes, I had the night off. Great.
Oh, there you go. At this time, I'd like to bring up the director of the Leon County Schools Foundation, also Leon County Commissioner Nick Maddox. So we're either giving away like ice cream tonight or pizza or even better money. Something's going on. So Commissioner Maddox, why don't you help us explain why everyone's here?
Thank you, Ms. Superintendent, Madam Chair, school board members. Today is my pleasure to stand before you as the Executive Director of the Foundation for Leon County Schools to present checks to 19 schools that were funded through our classroom grants, our I-4 grant series cycle this year. I have with me today my board chair, Heather Thomas. Okay, come on. My treasurer, Mary Esty. And our secretary, Sylvia Myers. I'm going to give my chair a couple minutes to say a few words, and then I'm going to ask.
Okay, if anyone knows me, I'm very long-winded, so I will keep this very short. But I think one of my most favorite quotes about education, especially being a former English teacher, is that education is not the filling of a pail, it's the lighting of a fire. And I think that is very applicable to the foundation. In particular, I think our teachers, and that they are the fire carriers. And I think, if anything, these grants and the money that funds the grants are that fire that keep the educational innovation, excitement about learning lit. So we just appreciate all the support that we receive from the community and the school board for now and for the next 30 years. So appreciate you guys. So wonderful. I guess that's it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And now for the fun part.
All right.
We'd like to first invite up Crystal Oranica from Astoria Park Elementary, Principal Marcia Sanders.
Yay.
Next, Craig Simmons from Bond Elementary, Principal Patrick Wright.
Yay.
Next, Kimberly Perez from Buck Lake Elementary, Principal Billy Millard.
Sylvia, could we get them to stay up? Could we get them to
Yes,
stay
if
up
you
here
guys
because
would
we want a
please stay up
picture?
for a picture, yes. Thank you.
You're not
Sorry.
getting off that easy. We like pictures.
All right, next we have Valencia Hollowell from Conley Elementary, Principal Taka Mays. Tarana Oliver from Deer Lake Middle School, Principal Steve Mills.
Woo, woo.
David Schubert, DeSoto Trail Elementary School, Principal Michelle Keltner. Janie Register, Fort Braden School, Principal Jimbo Jackson. Also from Fort Braden, Julie Baisden.
Yay.
Nancy Oakley, Hartsville Elementary School, Principal Rhonda Blackwell Flanagan. Next, Amon Rito from Kate Sullivan and representing Gilchrist Elementary School, Principal Michael Bryan and Scotty Crow. Karen Allen from Killearn Lakes Elementary, Principal Brenda Wagner. Robert Brantley from Nims Middle School, Principal Kelvin Norton.
Yay.
Candace Miles from Pineview Elementary, Principal Carmen Connor. Also from Pineview Elementary School, Karen Kimmel.
Wow.
Christopher Small from Raw Middle School, who happens to also be the principal. Kathy Douglas from Roberts Elementary School, Principal Kim McFarland. Nancy Floyd Richardson from Sale High School, Principal Tiffany Williams. David Rodriguez from Swift Creek Middle School, Principal Sue Rochelle. And last but certainly not least, Jeanette Vila from Woodville School, Principal Lisa Meir.
Hey, Chris, do you want to do front row, back row? Would that like keep it? Oh, y'all go for it.
Mr. Superintendent, while they and Madam Chair, while they arrange the pictures and everything, this represents $126,000 of funding in classroom grants. This year alone, we also have already funded $26,000 for ECOP program that deals with wellness, and as well as $30,000 for a Safe Beat program that will deal with heart screenings, for a total, and $5,000 for our script spelling bee, for a total of, just in the first few months, $187,000 going towards Leon County Schools. We hope to do much, much more throughout the year.
Board members, if y'all want to join in the picture. I'm not sure exactly who.
I'm going to stand by Mills. Get my stool.
anyone where they're all holding up their envelope. Like, this is a happy day. I'm yeah. Congratulations, Drew.
Nick, don't leave quite yet. I'm sure they're going to want to say a few words to you and I'll start if it's okay, Madam Chair. I'd just like to thank you for your leadership and all the members of your team and your board for your hard work. And you're the academic booster club for our entire school system.
Absolutely.
And I can assure you that this $120,000 will be put towards good things for our kids.
Yes.
And that would not happen without your leadership. And I know years back, and when I was a student at Leon, my father, Ted Thomas, started Leon High School Foundation, and this is modeled in the same way. And I know our teachers and our administrators are very appreciative of this. We couldn't do the things we do to do like the cherry on top without these resources. So thank you,
Absolutely.
thank you.
And to the board of the foundation, I see the work going on. We see how much you guys are raising. You're putting your resources into our classrooms, which is exactly what we need our community to do. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. You mean you guys don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting? I don't understand why there's this mass exodus.
You go spend their money.
Denver, you need to get a shot of this. It's like this mass exodus.
Hey, Chris, I think Meryl said wait until Monday to deposit those checks, though.
You know what? And they have all been in the classroom all day long today.
Yes.
They have been helping parents, kids, students. Yes, you do not need to stay here all night. You've already had a full day times 10.
Yeah, we
all right.
appreciate them so
While they keep moving that direction, I believe we have a very special principal with us. If maybe Sable Palm, Miss Anisha Robinson, wants to start making her way to the podium, a superintendent.
So, Madam Chair, over the course of the summer, and I kind of got this idea from another superintendent in the state, I started thinking, we recognize our teachers, we recognize our support staff, but rarely do we recognize our principals. And number 2 on my list of top 5 after student safety and safety of our personnel is faculty and staff morale. And I take it as my responsibility to take care of our principals' morale. And as a part of that, I thought, what could I do for our principals? It's not a lot, but to recognize them. So I thought of this Principal of the Month. So I got to talk. Chris Petley and I kicked the idea around. We thought, well, what if we get a massage chair and we pass the massage chair around every month? And well, no, that might sound too good. And so immediately Kathleen Rogers and Michelle Gale and Julian Gregory said no to the massage chair. You aren't going to be having. Anyway, so then I thought about what about boxing gloves? We always fight for our kids, and they didn't like that idea so much. And I thought about what about a championship belt that our principals more than anyone else are champions, constant champions for our children. And so that's kind of where we left it. So at this time, I think, Denver, do you have a video?
Oh, wow.
There's no video of Anisha? So this would be the same failure we had when we went to present the championship belt. So Chris and I went and rehearsed the day before. We had this music laid out, like the very beginnings of the Rocky theme song. And then after we presented her the belt, and Chris came out with the championship belt with the lights off and a spotlight on him. And then we gave it to Principal Robinson, and I sang, "We are the champion, you are the champion, my friend. You'll be the champion through the end." Okay. So we did have a video of that. Somehow we have been failed. But having said that, I mean, I've been to Sable Palm on numerous occasions, and I know Miss Lewis Butler said something a minute ago about how welcoming that school is, and when you pass by, you have no idea what's going on within those walls, and how excited those faculty members are, the kids are, and it all happens because of Miss Robinson and Miss Wallace and that leadership team. And so we thought it was very fitting that Anisha Robinson was awarded the very first recipient of the Principal of the Month.
Thank you so much.
Let's get a picture with her, too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Definitely, definitely. It's just been a great honor to not only serve Sable Palm Elementary, but the faculty, the staff members, the students, the parents, our wonderful administrative team. Like I told all the teachers when we came back, because I had to figure out a way to tell them, but not saying, hey, look what I got, you know? So we had to figure out a wonderful way. And Ms. Wallace and I sat down kind of figuring out, how are we going to share this with the faculty and staff members? Because immediately in the principal's meeting, I'm on my cell phone texting Ms. Wallace like, oh, you won't believe what's happening. And so, but what we've kind of taken it upon ourselves, the teachers play hot potato at school. So I never have the belt at work. So they pass it around. The students are wearing it. The faculty and staff member, cafeteria members, everyone has taken a picture with the belt. And it's just kind of been our way, like the teachers say, everybody finally knows about us and knows what we're doing at Sable Palm. And I told them, you know, yes, they recognize me because I'm the principal at the school, you know, but this is our award. This is something that we worked hard for. It's been years in the making, and it's just something that we kind of take pride in. And we were very excited that the rhinestones were red, white, and blue too as well on the belt. So that was just another personal touch. We were like, yeah, this was kind of meant to be. We were meant to start this journey off. So we're honored. Thank you so much. There's just so many things that we can say at Sable Palm. And I tell the teachers and staff, you guys are the teachers of the month. You guys are this and that. But there's nothing that I wouldn't be able to do at Sable Palm without my right hand, Jamaica Wallace. So I want to bring her up with me as well. We call each other partner at school. The teachers tease us all the time when they walk down the hall. Hey, partner. How you doing, partner? But it's truly a partnership. We're blessed. We've been together 4.5 years and hopefully many more because we work hard together. We can kind of finish each other's sentences. We know what's going on at the school without even having to communicate and talk. We just kind of know what to do. So we're just blessed that we're together, that we're able to serve Sable Palm, the teachers, which we have the best teachers in Leon County. We say that every day. The faculty, the staff, is just kind of a family. It's a whole community approach. So we're just excited, honored that we can share this. I don't know if we're going to be able to give it up next month. I don't know. The teachers have a bet at school saying, I don't think she's going to do it. I don't think she's going to do it. But we're just having a lot of fun. We thank you. This was a great idea. We are big sports fanatics at our school, so everything at our school is a competition. So having the wrestling belt was just icing on the cake for us. So we're excited, and thank you so much.
Nice. Very nice.
Yes, we want to get a picture with Anisha.
We want a picture with the belt.
Yeah, because so next Wednesday, you have to pass the belt to the next champ.
Oh. I think I was excused from that meeting next week.
Have to give up the belt.
See what they do is they put it over their shoulder. And
Everything. Yeah.
kind of in there. Our video failed.
I need to get out there. I said I was going to, and I haven't done it. You know what?
And I would be remiss also, and Anisha is also on a billboard No, how many billboards?
I think it's 5.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're not counting, but I think it's 5.
So this was sponsored by Scott and Wallace and opening nights with Florida State University. The opening nights, they gave her tickets to a show.
Yes.
You got I heard you get a gift card.
Gift card.
Have you used your gift card yet?
Not quite.
All right.
Just
good.
trying to figure out what we're going to do. Yeah. So, but one of the things, we had our student Rondasia Hollis that came up. She's one of our high-performing students at the school. She's a cheerleader. She's just kind of involved in everything, as her parents are, because they've kind of taught them, their kids at a young age, is about giving back and being a part of the family. But the good thing about her thought for the day was the very last line: people will never forget how you made them feel. That's right. And that's the feeling that we have at Sable Palm. We want you to leave feeling good, feeling like you're part of this family. And so I think a lot of our parents feel that way when they come in, because they keep coming and they keep coming. So we've had a wonderful parent involvement week that we're finishing with the dads tomorrow. So I think we've had our highest number of moms and grandparents and dads sign up. I think we have over 150 dads showing up tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful.
So just kind of exciting things, and just remembering that last line, just making people feel good when they come to the school. So that's kind of what we pride ourselves on at Sable Palm.
That's great.
Well, it was an honor to make you the first recipient. It's well deserving.
Thank you so much.
And Miss Wallace, it's just y'all are doing amazing work at Sable Palm, and just we're all very appreciative of your efforts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are. Thank you. You guys are an inspiration to us all. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Recognitions. 4.01 Florida Healthy School District Gold Level Award, Penny Taylor, Department of Education.
Good evening to you all.
Good evening.
What a great culture and climate here.
Yes.
We have been traveling the state the last almost decade providing these presentations, and not all school boards are as happy and upbeat as your school board.
And we're always like this, too.
Always, right?
This is true.
I especially would have voted for that chair massage. The one at Costco right now is...
Oh.
See, I told you. Dr. Gale, Gregory, Dr. Rogers. I told you that was a brilliant idea.
Just go to Costco, you can get it for free. So my name is Penny Taylor, and I'm the Director of Healthy Schools at the Florida Department of Education. However, tonight I'm here in a different role. I am pleased to be a facilitator of this statewide grassroots advocacy group called the Florida Partnership for Healthy Schools. And I have a few of the partnership members with me here tonight as well. The partnership, just to give you a little flavor of who is bringing this award to you, I won't list the 45 plus, but I just want you to understand the influence and the advocacy behind this. The sponsors are the Florida District Superintendents Association, the Florida I always get that messed up.
Florida
the Florida
Association
of District Superintendents. So, and it's the Alliance for a Healthier Generation, the Action for Healthy Kids, the Florida Kids Count. But it's also associations around the state. It's the Florida chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Dental Association. We also have with us, we're bringing in business partners. We have the Scholastic, we have United Healthcare has been very, very supportive, and the Florida Technology Council. So you have 40 plus organizations that come together several times a year, and their purpose is twofold: to inform advocacy and then also to recognize excellence among Florida districts, and that's why we're here today. And before we get into it, I would like to ask Terry and Alan, is it okay that I ask them to come up?
You have the mic. You do
the
whatever
mic.
you want.
They'll be good with the mic. So there's one part of this assessment that deems you a Florida Healthy District that is the most critical, and that component is called district infrastructure. And I have to tell you, this year, all of you are responsible because it is a partnership, but Terry and Alan have brought you all to 93%. And that is exceedingly high. And that indicates that you will probably sustain these efforts. It is the biggest indicator that when you all go and principles change, that these will continue on. So Alan and Terry, I really applaud you all for doing this. Alan is very visionary, you all know, and bold, and he is almost always, when I look around the state, he's the first one when free, high-quality resources and services are offered. He's the first one there saying, I need that for Leon County. So without going through a huge laundry list for you all, Terry and Alan have brought you all no-cost social-emotional learning programs for every single one of your elementary schools. Some innovative things that I just learned about, the EKGs for all the sixth graders. For staff members, not many districts have a staff wellness center, and I hope you all go there because it's an awesome benefit. But the leveraging of partnerships is so key, and I just applaud them for the number that they have been able to leverage for your children in Leon County. So I'm going to hush and pass this on to one of my colleagues. But before I do, I want to tell you that this started with 8 districts going through this comprehensive assessment 10 years ago. Now we have 50 districts that have gone through this comprehensive, and there's 12 bronze level, 23 silver, and only 15 gold. And you all are at that upper level gold, and that is pretty awesome. When I mentioned to you that this partnership advocates and informs for advocacy, I want to pass this on to my colleague Brooks Ruminek, and she's going to talk to you just a little bit about data.
Thank you, Penny. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all. One way to inform advocacy is through data, as Penny shared, and you will be happy to know that Florida is rich in youth-related data, such as the Florida Youth Risk Behavior Survey. And I'm excited to share with you a few of our good news trends. So if you can kind of help me out as I'm sharing some of this data, and when I point to you, if you will say decreased, because all I'm going to be talking about are things that went down. But in this instance, those are all good things. So the percentage of students who rode with a driver who had been drinking alcohol
Decreased.
Sexual dating violence significantly
Decreased.
Students currently sexually active.
Decreased.
Alcohol and tobacco use.
Decreased.
And soda consumption.
Decreased.
There is one particular indicator you should know and understand that is not a positive story. The percentage of students who have seriously considered attempting suicide, made a plan, or attempted suicide is consistently high. I'm sure you will agree this calls for more health education and social and emotional development programs. The last important data point I would like to present to you sends a clear message to all of us. Over 87% of Florida high school students report that it is important for schools to help students address the problems of today, such as drug abuse, violence, HIV and AIDS, teen pregnancy, and suicide.
And it's also very clear that your district is striving toward addressing those needs for your students. So very briefly, there were 10 areas in this assessment, and I'm just going to hit on the top 3 where you guys were off the charts and really exceeded. Physical education, 90%. Health services, your school nurses, 90%. Healthy school environment, that means the culture and the climate of the school, as well as the physical plant. You guys rated at 92%, so you're really a great model. And we look forward to highlighting all your successes, posting this on our websites, and featuring you at the 2nd Annual Florida Healthy School District Symposium in January. So before we leave you, we don't have big checks like what you had before, but we have a beautiful new gold flag that we would like to present to you all. And if you wouldn't mind, come out and we will get a great picture of you.
Lots of pictures tonight.
The Florida Partnership for Healthy Schools will continue to support your efforts. We applaud you for remaining at the forefront. and will continue to provide trainings and tools and other resources. In addition, you got Florida County School District.
How cool is that? Hey, we have a local doctor. Will you mind going and talk to That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Point right here. Sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you. Everything.
Thank you so much, Department of Education, for recognizing those efforts that we make. That sometimes I think it's some things that are maybe overlooked in a district. You think about academics first and safety first, and but it's important that our students are well and healthy mentally and physically. So we appreciate that recognition. And you're right, Alan Cox does an amazing job. He sends out wellness tips. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, and I find myself every once I'm like, huh. I need to try that. Like, there's it's kind of, there's some good stuff in there. So,
yes.
But he definitely goes above and beyond, and we're very fortunate to have him.
Thank you, Alan.
And just
Thank you.
grateful to you guys for the recognition. Top 15. Wow, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Not bad at all.
All right, reports to be heard. District Advisory Council, Dewana Moore. We have missed you. We're so glad you're with us.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Superintendent, Chair, and board members. District Advisory Council is back, and we are in full effect. We had our first meeting of the year, September 20th. We started with introductions. Dr. Gale facilitated that, and everything went well. We had a wonderful crowd, a lot of returning members, and a lot of new members as well. So we were pleased about that. The superintendent came, and he gave us a welcome, and he gave us some homework to do. We didn't know we were going to leave the meeting with homework, but not only did he give homework, but Dr. Gale gave some homework as well. So we've got a lot to do. Ms. Shelley Bell, the director of Lively Vocational Center, came and gave us a best practice. It was one of the best practices that I've heard, because it told us all that Lively had to offer. Most of us never knew all of that was going on at Lively. It's a lot of wonderful things going on, and if you haven't been, those in the room, I know you all have been, I encourage you to take a trip over there and just visit. We did have new member orientation for the new members who were there. Dr. Gale facilitated that. And then Dr. Gale and Marlene Feliciano facilitated the school board policies that we began to discuss. We had a discussion about all of the nepotism policies and the anti-fraternization policies, the religious expression policy, and the continuing contracts policy. And our homework from Dr. Gale was to go home and go back over the policies and come back at our next meeting with a quick turnaround. Our next meeting is October 4th, and be ready to take some action on that. We also had homework to talk about or to peruse the strategic plan for 2016-2021, advanced ed, the district accreditation. We received a packet on that. We were to go home and peruse that information and come back next meeting and be ready to discuss that. And we ended the meeting with questions and a wrap up on issues. And as I said, our next meeting, which is very quick, it's October 4th. And we look forward to seeing everyone there.
Wonderful.
That's our report.
Wonderful.
Great.
Okay.
All right. And I have one quick thing. Tonight I have with me, I always try and bring someone special with me. I used to bring my principals and colleagues, but I have tonight with me my uncle, George Ellis, who's a former educator in the city. And I'd just like to thank him for all of his support. And I'd just like to let you know that he's here with me this evening. He's in the, there he is over there.
I'm so glad you're here. Dewana, how many members of the District Advisory Council are there?
Oh,
Ish.
Ish.
Approximately.
2 per school, so,
Okay.
and then the other ones that come in, principals, a lot of principals are coming to the District Advisory Council meeting as well. In fact, that's how we'll get our best practice for next October 4th meeting. One of our principals was there, and it was piggybacking off of what Mrs. Bell had to say about Lively and how well ACE and Lively work together. So our next best practice is coming from Miss Regina Bell from ACE. So we have a lot of members of the District Advisory Council, and we're always looking for others to come and join us at the meetings.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here with us.
And
It's good to have you, Mr. Ellis, and see you again, too.
Yeah, that's right. Hello. Glad he's back.
All right, Student District Advisory Council. Ms. Campbell, I believe, is going to introduce our new, is this our new
Yes,
rep?
yes, ma'am. Tonight I'd like to welcome Ms. Abigail Hanson, our sitting Student Advisory Council Chair. She is active both at SAIL as the Senior Class Vice President and as an Officer Executive Intern, and in the community as a volunteer at the Ronald McDonald House, a camp counselor at Making Light Productions, a trainee at Bartell Fitness, and a member at the Tallahassee Rock Gym and the FSU Youth Circus. She's also an active member of the School Advisory Council and the District Advisory Council, so please join me in welcoming Miss Abigail Hanson.
Welcome. We're so glad you're with us.
It's my pleasure to be here tonight, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to represent the Student District Advisory Council here at the school board meetings, as well as to represent Sale High School on the board, as it's has a tendency towards being an unrepresented high school, but I think it has tremendous much to offer, as well as some to learn from other schools, of course. And it's my pleasure to just facilitate in any way I can as chair to the betterment of all the high schools in our district.
Awesome. Abigail, what year are you at SAIL?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior, and you've been there for?
I started halfway through my sophomore year.
Okay. All right, awesome. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you very much.
So no report tonight?
No, we've not had our first meeting. It begins following, so
Okay.
I just have introduced myself to you all, and I look forward to when I have more information to adequately report.
Perfect. One of the things we asked last year, I think we wanted to make sure that all the schools were represented, so not just the major ones that we think of traditionally. So we're more glad to know that we spoke last year at length about making sure that a voice comes from every school. So we're very glad to have SAIL a part of this, and look forward to your recommendations and what the council's talking about. We'd love to hear from our students. It's an integral part of what we do. So you play a really key role. We look forward to you being here at our meetings.
It means the world to know that our voices are heard. So
Yeah, they are. They are. Thank you. Thank you. Good job.
Great job.
Title I Advisory Council, Marie Claire Lehman and Jacqueline Scott. Do we have a, no? Okay.
I'm here alone. She's doing more important things. No offense. She had to tutor tonight.
No offense taken, yes.
So
you saw the mass exodus, I mean, right? So.
Exactly. I see that I will still have a tough act to follow at the school board meetings, and that's okay. It'll keep me on my A game. We had a very well-attended Title I Advisory Council meeting on September 10th. We had about 36 people there. Sometimes people don't sign in because they don't want to necessarily come to all our meetings. They're guests at that meeting, so sometimes it's actually even more crowded, but they're not. This when I mention you a number here, I'm talking about the regular attendees. But because we host the meetings at Title I schools, we want it to be a very open concept so that parents who might want to learn about the Title I Advisory Council can feel free to drop in, no obligation. So we were at Riley Elementary, and it was very wonderful to be able to hear from their very proud principal, Miss Scott, who had been wanting to host the Title I Advisory Council at Woodville, and we never managed to coordinate that last year, and so it was really great to finally be able to have her host us. But being a new principal and a new assistant principal, they're they're humbly learning about their school community and mostly just very proud of what the school community did last year in raising their school grade from a D to a C. And they're focused very much on parent involvement at the school this year. We worked really hard over the last few months on revising our bylaws to make them a little bit more flexible, to allow us to work in different formats when we feel we need to. That was one of the major changes that we made to the bylaws. We used to work in 4 committees, and we want to be able to work in task forces, and so we wanted to make sure that we weren't, working against our bylaws, so we amended the bylaws. That, I think, will be coming before you for ratification at some point in the process, but the bylaw amendments were adopted by the Title I Advisory Council without any issue. Just so you know, they're very simple changes, nothing big. We worked in our groups. It's a little bit tricky to give you a report monthly because I don't feel able to report on the work of the individual groups unless something very major comes up, because it's a work in progress, and so don't want to, say anything here that they may change their mind on or revise later. So I think when it comes to the task force group work, it's going to be reported in the yearly meeting rather than in these monthly meetings, which will make these reports a little bit quicker. And then we had a nice opportunity to ask questions of Miss Ashley Scott, who is the Title I director, as you know, or coordinator. And she was very forthcoming with answers. In fact, it was her idea that we schedule this so that parents and teachers and principals could ask questions about the Title I grant. And it actually, interestingly, led us to a pretty good the beginnings of a good conversation about school choice and charters, because we're in an somewhat awkward situation this year of having a new Title I school, which is governor's charter, but not necessarily having to kind of fund them, not temporarily, but preemptively or pre-fund them through Title I funds before they were able to actually provide the state and the federal government with the data required to be included in the grant. I don't want to misspeak, but it's a situation that the Title I office is managing very well. And explained to us as best that they could. And we have a very solid parent representative from Governor Charter. And so it's wonderful to be able to communicate and learn about their school and the Title I aspects, like the Title I challenges that are as present at that school as they are in all the Title I schools, the district Title I schools. But on the backdrop of school choice and all that comes with that, it makes for a pretty interesting conversation. But it was good. It was very positive. We are scheduled to meet again on October 8th at Sable Palm, actually. Sable Palm, which was well represented here tonight. In fact, Mr. and Mrs. Hollis are the TAC representatives as well. They're very, very involved parents from Sable Palm. And we are also working on scheduling. Dr. Gale's going to, either in October or November, we're working on scheduling a presentation by Dr. Gale about the Advanced Ed System Review. And we're excited to have her. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I did want to say, because I should tell you that I did my homework, which is that the Title I Advisory Council webpage on your district website now has the information that I was supposed to provide for it. So, except for the updated bylaws, because we don't want to put them up before you ratify them. But yes, and the district did a good job of, they were just waiting for me to provide the information. So that's done. So
good.
Good. Thank you.
Any questions?
Wonderful. Good job.
Marie Claire, I just wanted to share with you, just real quick since you brought it up. I was at the LCTA meeting last week or a week ago, and they mentioned very similar to what you were sharing, that we want to include charter school teachers as part of us. We want them to come but they're, again, bringing that conversation up that's often difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to commend you guys for, we all sit in that same, kind of in that same vein, but once they are part of us, they are a part of us. And we want those kids to thrive. We want every child to thrive, no matter where they go to school. So I encourage them to reach out. Actually went and visited one of the charter schools this week and said the same thing. Please encourage some of your teachers to become part of LCTA. And the same thing with you guys. Please encourage, Governor's Charter, the teachers to be a part of you. So so just thank you for trying to bridge that that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's especially important because of the Entitled I schools. Or in Title I communities, children change schools frequently during their career at school. Not all children, but many children do. And so the students who are in charter schools or in traditional district public schools may end up in each other's schools. And so if we don't work together, then we're dropping the ball for those kids. And those kids need a seamless transition when it comes to where they're going to school, because otherwise they're going to fall behind. And their parents will also feel at a loss for helping them, because if things are so different from one school to another, it becomes really difficult for families to keep the support going for their children. Right. So, I mean, and that's why we're here. So, for the children,
Right, exactly. Keep focusing on that, on the child. That's what we're all here for. Yes, ma'am.
Just something you said reminded me of something I learned on our visit to Atlanta to purpose-built schools. Yeah. And they are really focusing on students going back and forth between schools as one of the absolute factors in affecting academics and grades and all of those things. And they are doing some really innovative things, like providing housing specialists and landlord-tenant attorneys for parents, because a lot of times parents don't want to leave, but they get into landlord issues. And so they have a strong emphasis on trying to keep students in the school, and they do a lot of things with transportation and so forth. So I think, that's a really good topic for us to talk about, since it is a big issue in Title I schools, and it's one of the things that really leads to academic gains or not, is whether students can stay in place. So let's keep that conversation going.
Yeah, I mean, I think the stability of students is really, really important. And I also think that when you don't have a stable school environment as a child, you do less well. Yes. And as you're saying, and that gets reflected in the school grade.
Absolutely.
And we get, our schools, our Title I schools really get dinged for that. And if while we're trying to address it, I think we also have to recognize that element in school grades, and how can and I'm sorry, I'm sort of deviating, but among other things, it would be great if we could give schools, and I don't mean to put work on the district, but if we could give principals a very clear sense of how their students are doing, how their students who have been with them from kindergarten to 5th grade are doing, because you can have a much more lasting effect on a student who's with you through all of those years. And those students are even more so your responsibility. If a student arrives at the beginning of the school year, their test score isn't as much a reflection on your school as the test scores of a student who's been there since kindergarten. Sure. And if we could somehow disaggregate the data so that principals could really be aware of their school effect where there is a school effect. I don't know if that's something that you guys are interested in looking into, but I think it would be a really rich way of looking at the school grade.
Yeah,
I think and one more little bounce off of that, and we brought this up several months ago. This absolutely lends hand to, we were talking about revising that policy that you can stay an entire school year even if your family moves. Remember, we were talking about that's very disruptive to the child, and sometimes that give that parent an option. They obviously still have to transport their child. They don't have bus service, but can we? And we were going to look at that policy and come back with that. Can we? Okay. Yep. Is that? Do y'all remember when we had this conversation?
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, one thing, Madam Chair, that and board, I can remember of the standards at all schools are supposed to be the same, but when the Title I child move from one school and they get to another school and the standards are different, this affects the child. It affects the learning of the child. So we have to make sure that the curriculum is in sync with all Title I schools, if you're doing elementary school. So when the curriculum is in sync, then they will not miss a beat.
Right.
But they'll miss a beat if the curriculum and the standards are different. This is what hurting the Title I child as they transit from one school to another as well.
Yeah,
we have to make very sure the curriculum person at the staff level have to make sure all the schools are in sync with the same curriculum.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Real quick, Madam Chair, if I may, I looked at Ms. Gregory. We are collecting data this year on just that, the mobility of our students and how they're performing. We met yesterday with Principal Robinson at Sable Palm, and she identified a number of students that were struggling at her school. They were new to her school. They had not been, at Sable Palm over the last 3 or 4 years. So it will be interesting to see what the results of that research come to bear at the end of the school year.
Yes, and I really do think we should look at mobility as something that we as a school district want to pay attention to more, because I don't remember that in many of our conversations. It's just sort of taken, well, that's the way it is. But maybe there are some services that could be provided to parents at schools to help them stay. And we really lean on your committee to help us come up with some ideas.
Great. I'll be very happy to direct that particular task force to look at that, and I'm extremely grateful that you'll focus on that data, because I really think it's going to be, and I've spoken to Ms. Gregory about it too, and I really think it's going to help us make that school grade less of a meaningless measure when it comes to Title I schools. And I think, it's also really interesting to compare that mobility rate as a challenge compared to non-Title I school, to understand what these schools are up against, and not to just, so many decisions are made by parents and community members about this grade of the school without really understanding what's affecting those test scores. Absolutely. Or those cumulative test scores. Sorry to take too much of your time.
Don't be. Everything that comes out of your mouth, we value very much. So don't ever be sorry.
Great information.
Thank you very much.
We need to hear it.
All right, persons to be heard?
No speakers.
No speakers. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So move the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Bowen, second by Lewis Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. That brings us down to 19.01 items for consideration, none to date. Information items 20.01 upcoming meetings. Nothing. 21.01 children. So reports from board liaisons, I asked to put on the Children's Services Council Planning Committee update. So superintendent and myself both sit on that planning committee. So this is not the council that has to be approved by voters, but this is a planning committee. And I don't know if we had the PowerPoint. I thought it was going to be added, but I don't see it.
Not there. Okay.
Okay. So we, I'll send this out to you guys if we don't have it. Dr. Mimi Graham. Oh, we have it. Sorry, I'm on the wrong item. My bad.
You'll have yours. I didn't have my video, but you'll have your PowerPoint.
I got my PowerPoint, but I don't. If we can put it up on the screen too. I'm not going to go over it. It's 24 slides, guys, and it is chock full of information. But if you'll go into the item number, and then you'll see it. You'll see it up there as well. Let's see. If you'll just scroll through it, flip to the next slide, the second slide. So the gist of the this entire presentation, and the committee is chock full. There's probably about 20 people on it of business owners, community leaders, elected officials, PhDs, juvenile justice judges, lots of early childhood intervention specialists, and they very much target in on early learning, first 1,000 days. So when you look at this PowerPoint, you'll see that's what they're really talking about. But the task of this committee, stop right there, that starts early and press this slide. The task of this committee is a needs assessment. So we have 1 year to basically put together a needs assessment study in a very clear package that is coming from all kinds of different resources. So it's coming from places of poverty, crime, early learning, deficiencies at birth, deficiencies during pregnancy. It's all kind of pointing to to the difficulties that then we see when the children enter our school system. And Jillian was here at this meeting with me, and I think we were both just very, it was everything we've talked about packaged into one. So this slide, they're showing kind of the gap. We talk about the word gap a little bit, that if kids aren't exposed to those kind of words at the very first 1,000 days, and then it shows in high school 125-point difference on the SAT test. So it shows that link between what they're missing in the first 1,000 days, and that they will never, they're playing catch up their entire life. Yes. Next slide. Florida ranks 47th worst in the U.S. For health. Today, I got an article that said we also rank 5th. We're the 5th worst to be a state to be a teacher in. Yes, it was devastating this morning. That was not a good article to read. Keep going. One of the things I want to bring up in this is that they referred to this ACE score, and I couldn't quite grasp what the ACE was. We were running out of time and they were flipping to it, but it very much referred to early adverse experiences. So mental health in the home, no prenatal care, crime in the home. So these were risk factors that put that child at an even greater risk, and they kept referring to them as ACE. This was Mimi Graham. So these alarming things that go on in a child's life that absolutely have impact lifelong. So keep going.
Could we have those up on the TV screen so the audience can see those as well? They're important.
Physical diseases that cause,
Thank you.
adversity in childhood. So I think that you kind of get the gist of it. This was just one of the presentations, and this was very initial stages of this planning committee. But there's going to be lots of good information coming out of it. So I just wanted to kind of show you this. I urge you to go through this slide. In fact, at Marie Claire, I thought about the Title I report that you guys. I thought this would be very helpful information for them, and I'm sure they're going to be collecting from all different sources. It's very impactful, and I'm anxious to see where this goes, and I'll keep you guys updated, as I know Superintendent will as well.
So, Madam Chair, may I ask, good information in the information that you're sharing with us. What's the plan after the plan?
So the plan is that it will be on the ballot in 2020. So it has to be approved by voters, and it is a tax. It is a tax increase. So, and I believe it has to get, is it 50% or 60% it has to pass by to actually establish a Children's Services Council? Okay. I don't know specifically is it 60%? I'm not sure. But I think this was the most organized preemptive committee that I've ever seen. It very much had a structure to it, an agenda, a lot of community stakeholders, and the task of this committee is to present to the community the need is there. Now, what is going to be difficult is to tell the community, if you vote for this and it raises $8 to $9 million annually, what exactly is going to be done with that money? So that's where, and we did some talking too about the other children's services councils around the state. I believe there's, I want to say 13, 14. There's several of them around the state. And all of them act in different ways. They some place more importance on early learning, some more mental health, some more poverty in certain neighborhoods. But they're claiming good results, but we this committee is assessed with the task of needs assessment. That is what we are looking at. Where is the need? And then to present that, and then it'll go to voters. So it's going to be a long and interesting process.
So, Madam Chair, so we're looking at early learning as one of our priorities in this.
Yes, I think so. This is, and
That's
if
what I'm looking at. Is early learning is more.
Yes, and flip down to the very last slide has Dr. Mimi Graham's name on it. She's with the Florida State University Center for Prevention and Early Intervention Policy. So it is her life work for early intervention, prevention, the first 1,000 days. I know it was the title of the slide, and it's like it hits it right on the money, exactly what we talk about. So I'm really anxious to see what transpires out of this.
Madam Chair, I'm just so glad you're on this committee and you're bringing this to the board and you're bringing this to the public, because I think just the more education people can get about this, they will understand that we at the schools cannot do this alone if we wait till kindergarten.
Right.
That's
because so much of this is done from birth, the first 1,000 days, and the research is there. And so I think if everyone gets behind it, the school board, the city commission, the county commission, the Chamber of Commerce, we have a chance to make a real difference that'll be long-term and lasting. And, we can't do it by ourselves. So thank you for bringing that to us. And let's, I think a lot of us talk about early childhood, how important it is, but it's not exactly in our purview in terms of how we're funded and so forth. So to get some help from the community is critical. So
it's critical.
I did share that with the community, that Jillian and I think we're just overjoyed, because think of what this could mean to our teachers.
Oh, yes.
Think of what this could alleviate on our school system. The issues that we're trying to face and tackle, knowing that we're trying to undo what was done for the first 5 years, and it is almost, we're struggling, and our community, I think, is realizing that. They're realizing that there's so much to be done before they get to us. Some of the issues Marie Claire might be talking, they just think, what if they didn't exist?
And also, Madam Chair, the idea that discussion and the planning and the individuals that will be involved through generations, if it is handled correctly and through a long-term basis, can make the kind of difference that I think we'd be proud of in years to come. Because if you catch our children and these newborn babies and birth and parents and parenting at the very early stages, the kind of difference can be made over long term will be the kind of legacy that I think this board and certainly this community ought to be about trying to share and leave. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to the continuation of this, and that's why what's happening after plan is the plan, so that we don't get caught in the middle of a tunnel and there's this vacillating and pulling out, that kind of thing. So it's a great opportunity. Glad you all are there.
I promise to keep you posted, and I'm sure it'll rotate. It'll be another school board member when I'm done. Everyone will have a turn to be a part of it. I'm sure, and superintendent. So there will be, I think by statute, if it is established, it will be one school board member on the actual committee and superintendent. So we will always be part of this
Great.
conversation.
And so we should be with our children involved. Thank you, ma'am. Good.
This is a segue for the Title 1 schools as well.
All right, that brings us to superintendent's comments.
Madam Chair, and I apologize for not being there on Friday, but I was 6.5 hours away in Naples, Florida for my 5 minutes of fame for the State Board of Education. But I just kind of reiterated what we said, our concerns with charter expansions and draining resources away from our traditional public schools, and then the diversity issue. And they listen, and several even made comments. And then when we go into negotiations to enter into a contract with the classical school, that we have that frank conversation about our concerns for diversity and not wanting to add to the issue of segregation in our public schools. So it was worth, I guess, I don't know if John Hunkyard thought it was worth it or not, but the 13-hour trip down and back. But thank you, Chair Striplin and Jillian for representing the superintendent's office for your efforts. And I've tasked Jillian also, in addition to the research with mobility, for kindergarten readiness research. So we were able to provide to this community, that committee, some hard numbers as to the real need that we have in a number of our schools. Because I think that's what the community needs. As long as they see the need and they find out how strategic we are going to be in addressing that need, because you know, $8 or $9 million sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not. I mean, it's really not. And if you have too many hands in the cookie jar pulling it in too many different directions, then you just have a bunch of cookie crumbs laying on the floor, and we aren't accomplishing anything. So we have to be strategic. We have to present a plan to the community, which is only fitting if we're going to ask them for more of their tax dollars. Last meeting, John Hunkiar presented a safety and security update, talked about the additional officers we have in all of our elementary schools and our special sites. I think I heard at least 3, maybe 4 of the 5 board members say, it sure looks like you could possibly use some help in that office. Well, he took you at your word when it came and said, and I went to John, I said, John, why don't we, you know, if there's somebody out there that you think might be able to help in your department, given the tall task of all of these schools and the officers in managing that program, I feel we need to commit resources to help with that. So, John, if you would come up and introduce the newest member of your staff. And he won't be a stranger to the school board.
Okay. Good evening, board members, superintendent. On April 6, 2006, shortly after meeting Sheriff Larry Campbell, the first person I met at the Leon County Sheriff's Office was Lieutenant Jimmy Williams. I've known him for my 13 years being here. He has 8 years of experience as a lieutenant and a captain over our school resource deputy that we've had over a 30-year program with. He has a vast amount of experience. He's from the area. He's a beekeeper. I don't know if that actually matters, but he brought us all honey, you know, the second day of work, so that was a big hit in the office. But he's very experienced. He's come in feet first, and we have divvied up many projects. He'll currently be managing over $2 million worth of security initiatives. He stepped out just a moment ago to fill one of the vacancies at one of our elementary schools, so we are 100% filled for tomorrow, Mr. Superintendent. But we look forward to working with Jimmy, and I think he's going to be a great addition to our team as well as the district. So I'd like to introduce Jimmy Williams, Coordinator, Safety and Security.
Hey.
Now we have a video.
Wow. Okay. Why not? Show it. It seems appropriate. Fire it up.
On August 1st, we put our first launch to see how many officers would be interested in working in our schools.
Before we start talking about educating our kids, we have to protect them.
And we titled it, We Need Your Help. We Need Your Help. We Need Your Help. We Need Your Help. 250 officers have signed up to work in our schools.
There's a vested interest here. You know, I know a lot of the teachers that are still here that taught my kids, and I feel I'm filling a role here that, you know, unfortunately society has forced us to put law enforcement in elementary schools at this point.
The Leon County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Tallahassee Police Department, have stepped up and assisted us. The feedback.
The students here have been very positive. Lots of thank yous for being here. I just try and stay visible, walking around the school, looking at the classes, you know, staying out front, parent pickup, drop off, things like that. Again, being visible so people see me out there.
Great work, Denver. And part of Jimmy's charge is going to be to manage that program, which so far, knock on wood, and because a lot of John's hard work over the summer to get this organized, and it's amazing. So Jimmy, welcome to the family.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Ladies of the board, it's a true pleasure for me to be here, and I feel very honored and to swing back full circle to come back at this podium speaking to this board, which historically has been a unique board in that how supportive the history of this board has been to the school safety and security mission. And in my previous employment and travels, I was able to travel the state many times, as well around the country as well, to evaluate school safety programs. And it is a unique relationship and a unique support that this board has historically given to the school safety and security mission, as well as the school resource program. So I feel honored. I'm so excited. It is truly a dream for me to come back and serve the kids of our district, faculty and staff, the families, and you all. I'm thrilled to be here, and I hope I can make just a little bit of a contribution somewhere close to the team that I've now been assigned to. They're true professionals. Buddy Triquet, who I've worked with for 30 years, Don Kimbler, Chief Hunkiar, cream of the crop, tip of the spear when it comes to school safety, and I feel truly honored, and it's a privilege for me to be here. So thank you for the introduction. Yeah.
Thank you. Jimmy, we're so glad to have you. This was, I think we all were just felt the burden that safety and security, along with mental wellness, and that this summer was an intense amount of work for them. It was just piled on us, and with the mandate of do it now, and do it, without the funding for it. And the hours we've talked, all of us are just like, the hours you put in this summer, we just can't even imagine. You did it. So we're just very, very grateful that you're here and that John has some support, because it was sorely needed. So thank you. Welcome.
And two other items, Madam Chair. Wednesday was a reminder that it's dads, take your student to school day on Wednesday morning. So we encourage all you fathers out there to get up, get your kids some a healthy breakfast. I was going to say donuts. A healthy breakfast. And bring them to school on Wednesday morning. I know Miss Robinson has something special planned at Sable Palm, as do a number of our other schools throughout the school system. And finally, in closing, Madam Chair, it's kind of a bittersweet, but I met with Miss Carolyn Hanson about a month or so ago, and there became an opportunity over in the risk management department. And we talked about her career and some of her thoughts moving forward with her career and role with our school system. And she's been kind of the rock with this school board for the last half a decade. Absolutely. But we thought that at this time the opportunity that presented itself was too hard to pass up. But she wanted me to assure you that she loves every single member on this school board. She loves working, and it was really a tough decision for her to make. But times in life change is good, and a new experience and a new challenge but it had nothing to do with personalities or, man, I can't do this anymore, Mr. Hanna. You have to get. It was more, I think I can really make a difference in this department. But having said that, we'd like to recognize Ms. Henson and thank her for your service to this school board, and wish you nothing but the best moving into your next phase of your career with our school system and risk management.
Yes, we do.
All right, so I guess we need to maybe get a picture of
Yes, we need a picture, and then we'll have words.
I say we deny that move, ladies.
It's a good
We have the power to take charge of this.
Even us.
You look beautiful. Wait.
Miss Carolyn, I swear, like 3 times this week I've gone to do an email and I'm like, Henson, who am I going to send this email to? I don't know who to send it to.
I know.
Oh, but I can't. Oh, it's not going to be the same.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I share your...
And you even longer than, way longer than me. Way longer than me.
You have no idea the things I have gone through with Miss Henson that have all been so wonderful. You know?
Yeah, she always.
And I certainly don't want to would never stand in her way of moving on. But she has absolutely not only spoiled me in a great way because she's so professional, so kind, so thorough. She makes us all look so good, and she handles that office as if she had 2 or 3 people in there. As a matter of fact, through the years I have said, how can you do all of these things? And, you know, I even talked about it yesterday. The phone rings constantly with every kind of concern about every aspect of this district. And I'm saying, why does our assistant have to take care of all of these people? So, Ms. Henson, I really would not blame you if you were trying to run away from us, but I know that you're not. But I just want you to know how very much I thank you and appreciate your attention to the details of being the consummate, oh my goodness, professional that you've been, and still yet be caring enough to get the job done. So I'm jealous that you're leaving us and going to higher heights, but I'll not stand in your way because I want you to move on and to attain those things for yourself and learn new things. But you really did make us look so good, and I will miss you professionally and personally, and my computer is still broken, and so now what am I going to do, Miss Henson? Okay, thank you. But please know I value you, and thank you so much.
I want to say one thing, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Ms. Henson, one thing I like about you, you made everybody think you were the only special one. I thank you for that.
I thought that was a special one, Maggie.
I thought I was
Oh, you're special, all right.
Oh, my.
Oh, my. But go in peace. Thank you.
Well, you are going to stay in the district, so we do still have your email. It doesn't change, even if you go to a different office. So you will be hearing from us. And thank you so much for making me personally feel so welcome to the board. And obviously, you've done that with everyone else, and that's part of your professionalism and kindness and beauty. So thank you so much.
Ask her, do we still get chocolate cakes on our birthdays and such stuff?
I will see.
Thank you.
All right, she's still in the building. She's still in the building.
Okay.
Okay. I guess the superintendent did it for you.
Oh.
That's it. I'm looking at Miss Brown. Where's my chocolate cake?
I know. I was like, I ain't getting a chocolate cake.
Yeah, you just let that
I'll
cat
get
out
you.
of the bag.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
This is not about chocolate cakes, but it could be. For some reason on Friday, I was not watching MSNBC, which is my favorite station. I'm not doing a commercial for them, but I was just surfing the TV channels, and I saw our superintendent when he was speaking to the State Board of Education down in, where were you?
Naples.
In Naples. He did an outstanding job, and I've not told him this before. Was a little bit anxious, but he did let them know that he did ride 13 hours to be there to address the issues with them. And I thought you represented this district very well, Mr. Superintendent. I never watched that channel, so it was meant to be. Thank you. You did a good job.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, continuing concerns.
That would be mine.
New issues, anybody?
Yes, I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair and Board, I like to give some highlights about the school accountability data on Pineview Elementary School. Additional $500,000 above staffing plan for additional staffing and instructional materials. added staff to drive down class size, made instructional changes to expose students to the most effective teachers, added staffing allocation for math coach, created and implemented positive behavior management system, a resource room most elementary schools are not funded, offered an after-school program, the 21st Century program, day-long support, ELA, math, and science. Principal coach who has experience at Pine View many times, days per week. District data coach who has experience at Tower 1 school. Classroom observation support. Flexibility to make curricular adjustments. Freedom to identify and implement research-based programs to support students' learning. Thank you, Superintendent Hannah and staff, for making sure Pineview Elementary School has all the resources and funds they needed to operate and come up to a higher level. Auburn Elementary School. Added and earned approximately $900,000 above staffing plan for additional staffing and instructional materials. Added a dean, a reading support position. Added additional teacher units. Expanded STEAM on campus by including it as part of the special area rotation. Added a full-time gifted endorsed teacher to school staff. Assigned additional staff 1/2 a day in ELA, math, and science. Thank you, Superintendent Hannah and staff, for making sure Bond get the resources that they need to do a better job. Oak Ridge Elementary School, additional $700,000 above staffing plan for additional staffing and instructional materials. Added staff to drive down class size. Made instructional changes to expose students to the most effective teachers. Added additional primary reading coach. Have a discipline dean, a position most elementary schools are not funded for. Offer an after-school program, the 21st Century program. Day-long support in ELA, math, and science. Principal coach who has experience at Oak Ridge schools, multiple days per week. District data coach who has experience at Oak Ridge. Classroom observation support. Flexibility to make curricular adjustments. Freedom to identify and implement research-based programs to support student learning. These two schools, started in August, received $2.1 million to start the year off to get them out of trouble. Thank you for this information. Dr. Gregory.
Madam Chair, look, if I may add to that, it's part of me going down to the state board, and I appreciate you doing that, Ms. Lewis Butler, because it needs to come out. We are doing everything humanly possible to provide as many resources as we can to those schools. But what I watched down there, and some of those schools that are have external operators now, they've gone to the next level. That the school district is having to pay between $500,000 and $600,000 to these external operators. I'm going to tell you, it's a train wreck. And across the state, it's a train wreck. And I expressed that same concern to Commissioner Stewart, and I think she listened. Believe it or not, she acted like she listened, because you heard reports from these schools. There was one school that had 7 substitute teachers, has a staff of 35, and they had 7 subs, two 4th grade subs, 2 5th grade subs, because that was the direction they were told, but by removing certified teachers. But these external operators is not, in my opinion, is not the answer. It's not the way to go. It's just a total waste of resources. Now, if DOE wants to embed one of their people in our schools and we pick up the salary for that person to report directly back to the Department of Education, I get it. But to pay these outside companies who I don't think have been vetted and don't have a vested interest, to pay them $500,000 to oversee one school, I think it's a sham.
It is, because we have to educate our parents as well, because it's a community effort, and it takes a village to raise a child. You still have to go back to that, and so and Dr. Rogers had they have a component where for the Hope parents that I attended a month ago up on Miss Aria Williams. That Hope Mall is good for all parents, that we'll get all parents to attend, where we can understand by educating our parents so that they will know the fundamentals of working together with the schools and to support children when they come home in the afternoons. They must do their homework. They must read, because reading is critical for all subjects, and reading is critical for life, and reading is critical for everything. So we have to teach and not all of the families and how to have support for their children at all our schools.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the comments. Any other new issues? All right. We're adjourned.